Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Gaming Table. I'm Rob, and today on the table we're going to talk about my Star Wars Unlimited Set 2 pre-release weekend experience, the game stores I visited, the cards I pulled, the decks I built, and the prizing. I ended up signing up for 6 pre-release events, but in this video we'll just cover the initial weekend 4 events that I attended because the other ones are still to come at the time of recording. All right, let's get into it. All right, the first store I attended was Dungeon Comics and Cards in Oakville, Ontario. It's basically a half comic book store, half card store, 2 separate entrances, but they are connected. The store was very professional and clean, super friendly and efficient staff, very welcoming. They definitely had a great customer service focus. This is my first time there, but I felt very welcomed, and I could tell from my background they were very customer focused, which was really good, very friendly. They normally host Friday night weekly premiere constructed events, but I don't think they have any prize packs for prizing, they were saying, until supply catches up. So hopefully later this year when more packs are printed, they can get on in. So for this pre-release, we had 8 players. The prizing was 1 pack for participating, 1 pack per win, which is pretty standard from what I've experienced over all the pre-releases I went to for set 1 and set 2. But the interesting little twist they threw at us at this one was they gave us our participation pack right at the beginning with our pre-release kit, and then told us we could open that and build with it with the rest of our kit. So we actually had 7 packs to build from, which gives you an extra leader, gives you a bunch more cards to maybe make a more synergistic deck, which was really cool. And I thought it was a neat idea. All right, so here's the deck I put together based on the pool you just saw opened. And I ended up going with a Gar Saxon blue-yellow deck. I had some nice blue-yellow options. I was originally staring at my leaders, and I saw Gar Saxon, and I read his ability. Each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0. I kind of started thinking like Krennic's damaged ability little buff is pretty good. So I thought maybe Gar's just as good. I don't know. So I started looking through my upgrades and realized I didn't really have many positive upgrades that I could attach to my own units. But then as I was sitting there staring at the pool, I realized I had a lot of shielded units. And shields are upgrades. And shielded units come into play with those upgrades already attached and therefore get the buff off Gar Saxon. Then as I realized that, I had 3 copies of Rich Reward, for example, and I could use those bounties to put experience tokens on my own units, which are also upgrades. I also had the bounty Public Enemy, which would add a shield to one of my units. And I thought, all right, maybe I could just make a deck out of throwing a bunch of shields and experience tokens on my units to give them buffs. And yeah, it ended up working out. I went 3-0 and got the most packs. And yeah, it was a great time. All right, the second store I went to was on Saturday afternoon, David Adams Card World in Williamsville, New York. Very large store, mainly focused on sports memorabilia, sports cards, Buffalo Bills. Very large, spacious gaming area in the back, though, where they run events for various card games. They also sell card game stuff there. They had 2 pre-releases scheduled for the weekend, one Saturday, which we went to, also one on Sunday. They have 40 players per day was their cap, so they had 80 kits plus. But we only had 24 players show up to our event on Saturday. Supposedly they were saying because of July 4th holiday weekend in the US makes a lot less players want to go play cards indoors when they can be outside enjoying barbecues and fireworks and all vacations and that kind of stuff. But since there was less players, they actually sold 1 pre-release kit per player if you wanted to after you were done playing, even if you dropped. So you could go home with an extra pre-release kit if you wanted to pay for it. During the deck building, somebody did open, I believe it was a Mando showcase, and yelled it out. Everyone was cheering. I think that's which one it was, but that was pretty cool. For prizing, for participation, they were giving out actually set 1 weekly OP packs by the fistful, basically. So if you played a best of 3, you get 2 of those packs per win. So even if your opponent lost and they still won, 1 out of the 3 matches, they would get a couple packs. So every time you win, you get like 4 or so of those packs. So people were getting like piles of them. And it was originally scheduled for 5 rounds, but after the 3rd round, everyone was kind of tired. They were realizing like, yeah, it was kind of going long. We'd already been there for like 4 hours. They were going to go for 2 more rounds. They just decided we should end after 3. Everyone was kind of okay with it. A lot of people already dropped and left after like the first round or 2. So it was dwindling. But the prizing, unfortunately, I didn't realize when they were finished, was pretty top heavy. Only the rest, most of the packs from the booster kit were given out to just the top 3 players. Thankfully, my wife Mel went undefeated 3-0, so she placed second due to tiebreakers. There were 3 undefeated, so only those 3 undefeated basically got a bunch of packs. But they did then, the rest of everyone who was still there at the end, they just gave 1 pack per player who was still kind of hanging around, which was nice. So we left with a bunch of packs. I went 2-1. But yeah, it was a good time. Very professional there. They do run, they are planning to run, drafts coming up on Fridays. They have weekend premiere events, Saturdays and Sundays. The store really wants to get Star Wars Limited going there and support it as best they can. And they look like they kind of buy in bulk. So supposedly they still had pre-release kits for sale yesterday, even as I was recording this. I saw some people mentioning online to go grab them there. So yeah, great store. All right, here's the deck I played at David Adams Card World. I ended up going with Bo-Katan. I didn't realize at the time when I opened it, it was a rare leader until one of the players around me, as I was building, kind of mentioned it, they were kind of looking for it and hoping to get it. But I got it, and I was like, interesting. And they were saying it was a really good leader, but I hadn't really looked at her before going. But as I was opening my packs, I eventually got the Mandalorian Legendary unit. I got Chewbacca, who's in the same color, seemed like a bomb unit. Even Pre-Vizsla, a big Mandalorian bomb character. And then I started spreading out my cards and realizing I had a lot of red and blue Mandalorian card synergy and thought, all right, I should probably play Bo-Katan and mix some of that stuff in, which was really cool, having 2 of the armor also helping with all the Mandalorian stuff, dropping shields in as she came in. It was really a pretty synergistic deck for a sealed deck, and it was a really fun one to play. All right, so the third store we went to was later on Saturday in the evening at 6 p.m., about a half hour away from the previous store. This one was WNY Gaming in Hamburg, New York. Very strange store. They have the normal card games, board game stuff you'd expect, some puzzles, but they also had some disc golf stuff. They also had an arena in the back, like with boards, looked like kind of like a hockey arena, but no ice, where they do pickleball and fencing. They also had some arcade machines in the back, which was neat. Very strange little mix of things. And the washrooms had some showers for, I guess, the sports and stuff. So it was a cool little mix of stuff. But they ended up having 9 players show up for the pre-release. I think 1 didn't show. They had 10 pre-registered. They ended up doing 4 rounds. So it went a little later on into the evening than expected. But this place had the best prizing so far. They did the normal, participation pack and then a pack per win, which is usually expected. But then they had a bunch of extra prizes I had not seen before and rarely saw in the first set of the game, where very minimal stores actually had initiative tokens and token boxes and promo cards and stuff to give out. These guys actually had it. And they had, for participation, everyone got a Shadows of the Galaxy initiative token, which is pretty cool to get before the set's even out. So I have one of those to use. They also, for top 8, threw in one of those Gamegenic Mandalorian token boxes to all the top 8 players, and also an event exclusive Grogu promo card, one to each of the top 8 players. Top 2, the store threw in 2 of those Gamegenic soft crate deck boxes, and first place they threw in a Gamegenic Mandalorian Darksaber art playmat for the winner, which was nuts. Since we only had 9 players, so that means everyone but one was getting like a lot of awesome prizes. The other crazy thing here, with only 9 players, actually 2 showcases were pulled out of the 9 kits that were opened while we were building our decks. One was a Boba leader, and the other was a Mandalorian, which was pretty crazy. This was quite the pre-release experience for me. That's all I can say. I got a showcase.
Oh! Get what you get.
Mando.
That's awesome.
That's sick. Okay, so here's my deck I played at WNY Gaming. Yeah, I know. I pulled a Mando showcase and I didn't play it. I don't know if that's bad, but after I got it all sealed away in a sleeve and a top loader, I put that thing away, and my pool drove me towards yellow-red villain, which I really like in this set. I had a ton of Underworld stuff. Finally got a Cad Bane in my pool. I don't think I had it until this point. So seeing all the yellow Underworld bounty hunters, bounties, all that stuff, I kind of just wanted to put it together. And yeah, it was definitely a fun deck to play, and it did pretty well. I ended up going 3-1, lost in the finals, so I missed out on the playmat. But other than that, I got some amazing prizes. But honestly, even if I lost every single game, I still won the whole pre-release because I was one of the players that opened a showcase. So there you go. All right, the fourth and final store I visited during the pre-release weekend was Tistemin's Hobby Shop in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This place sells card games, board games, tabletop board games, paints, collectibles, runs events for all these things. And this store is actually one of the only stores I know of locally on this side of the border that actually stored away and hoarded a ton of booster boxes with the primary goal of supporting their local play every single week. We would have Premier constructed, and they, up until the very last week of set 1, still had booster packs. No matter how many players showed up, whether it was 20 something or 4, they always had packs, booster packs, and the weekly OP packs, but mainly booster packs, which were like dried up and gone most places. Most stores I know cracked them for singles, sold them for very high prices, or just didn't get any because they didn't support the game from the beginning. But this store did, and they really wanted to promote local play. They did probably sell a couple booster boxes online for the market prices or whatever, but that was only after making sure they had enough for the local players. So big shout out to Tistemin for doing that. I wish more stores would do that. So I definitely support this store, and I will continue to play there for sure. But for their pre-release, they had 24 players, sold out in a mere matter of hours. We did 3 rounds. They did the usual prizing of a pack per win, I think it was. And yeah, it was a good time. And here's the deck I put together at Tistemin. Was a Han Solo. I finally got Han Solo in my pool. I don't think I'd seen him till this point either, but I really wanted to build him with some of my other card pools I had. But this one I think worked out okay. I had quite a few big bomb grit units. And when I opened my crate dragon, as you see there, I definitely wanted to play a deck where I could throw that in no matter what it was. But I also had 2 gentle giants and a couple of those covetous rivals, I think they're called, with grit on them and their big bodies. So bringing them in early with Han, throwing damage on them already gets their grit numbers up, and then their bigger, scarier units. And also pairing that with the wild rancor, paying the extra for it, but it coming into play, dealing damage to those grit units the next turn was pretty cool too. Plus some blue removal felt very nice. I ended up going 2-in-1 with this deck. And yeah, had a great time. And that's it. We had a great weekend, awesome time, pulled about 22 prize packs, but we took them home and we haven't opened them yet. I plan on opening those in a live stream, so stay tuned to the channel. That'll happen shortly. Check the playlist in the video description if you're looking for more Star Wars Unlimited content on the channel, which more is coming. Stay tuned. I'm loving this game, having a great time. Look forward to playing it more. Hope it does well in the future. And yeah, thanks for supporting the channel, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking the like button. All the support you guys show means a lot. Anyways, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.